Take a slow breath now. Feel it descend through the layers of your being, down through your chest, into the quiet chambers of your heart, and let it settle there like ancient wisdom returning home. Because in this moment, in this sacred pause between who you were and who you are becoming, there is a truth waiting to be remembered, not learned, but remembered, as if your soul has always known it, and your mind is only now catching up to what your spirit has been whispering since the beginning of your existence. Your life belongs to you, not to the voices that shaped your childhood, not to the expectations that were placed upon your shoulders before you were strong enough to carry them, not to the invisible contracts you signed with your silence, your compliance, your endless giving, but to you, only you. And in this belonging there is a freedom so profound, so complete, that the moment you truly grasp it, the moment you allow it to move from concept to conviction, everything shifts, everything realigns, and the world you thought you knew reveals itself as a projection of the world you were taught to accept rather than the world you were born to create. For too long, perhaps for your entire life, you have been living as if your existence requires permission, as if your needs must be justified, as if your desires must be proven worthy before they deserve your attention. And in this pattern of seeking validation from sources outside yourself, you have fragmented your energy, scattered your power across 1,000 different altars, each one demanding sacrifice, each one promising that if you just give a little more, surrender a little more, diminish yourself a little more, then finally, you will be enough, you will be loved, you will be accepted. But the truth, the terrible and liberating truth, is that no amount of external approval can ever fill the void created by your own self-abandonment. No amount of praise from others can compensate for the absence of your own self-respect, and no relationship, no achievement, no milestone can grant you the fulfillment that can only come from the conscious, deliberate, sacred act of choosing yourself. Close your eyes for a moment if you can, and ask yourself this question, not with your mind but with the deepest part of your being. When was the last time you truly chose yourself, not in a small way, not in a gesture or a fleeting moment of self-care that you squeezed between obligations, but in a way that was absolute, uncompromising, rooted in the understanding that your life, your one precious, irreplaceable life, is not a rehearsal, not a waiting room, not a space where you postpone your own existence until everyone else is satisfied, until every demand is met, until the mythical moment arrives when it is finally safe, finally acceptable, finally right to prioritize your own soul. The answer to this question may sting. It may reveal patterns you have been avoiding. It may illuminate the countless ways you have been living in deference to a world that benefits from your self-neglect. But do not turn away from this discomfort. Do not soften the edges of this realization, because within it lies the doorway to your liberation, the threshold between the life you have been enduring and the life you are meant to inhabit. Putting yourself first is not an act of selfishness, though the world has trained you to believe it is, though you have been conditioned to feel guilt every time you consider your own needs, though the voices in your head, voices that sound like parents, teachers, society, religion, culture, all whisper that to prioritize yourself is to be arrogant, entitled, unkind. But these voices are not wisdom. They are programming. They are the residue of systems that require your compliance, your sacrifice, your silent suffering in order to function. And when you begin to question them, when you begin to dismantle the beliefs that have kept you small, you will discover that selfishness and self-preservation are not the same thing, that caring for yourself is not a rejection of others, but a prerequisite for genuine connection, and that the people who condemn your self-prioritization are often those who have the most to lose when you stop giving yourself away. There is an ancient understanding woven through the fabric of every spiritual tradition, every philosophy of wisdom, every teaching that has endured the test of time, and it is this: you cannot pour from an empty vessel. You cannot give light when your own flame has been extinguished. You cannot nourish others when you yourself are starving. not just physically but emotionally, spiritually, energetically, and yet how many of us spend our lives attempting this impossible feat, running ourselves into exhaustion, into illness, into a kind of living death where we are present in body but absent in spirit, and we wonder why we feel resentful, why we feel hollow, why the relationships we have sacrificed ourselves for feel more like obligations than sources of joy, and the answer is painfully simple. We have been trying to build a life on a foundation of self-neglect, and no matter how much effort we pour into the structure, no matter how beautiful the facade appears, the foundation will eventually crumble because it was never meant to hold the weight of a life lived in self-betrayal. Imagine for a moment that your energy is a currency, finite, precious, irreplaceable, and every day you wake with a certain amount of this currency in your possession, and every interaction, every commitment, every thought, every emotion is a transaction, a choice about where you invest this energy. And now ask yourself, where is your energy going? Is it flowing toward projects that ignite your passion, relationships that honor your worth, practices that restore your spirit, or is it being drained by obligations you never truly agreed to, by people who take without reciprocating, by habits and patterns that leave you feeling depleted? And if the latter is true, if you find that your energy is consistently flowing away from you without nourishing you in return, then you must understand that this is not a sustainable way to live. This is not a path to fulfillment. This is a slow erosion of the self, a gradual disappearance, and at some point, you must ask whether the life you are living is truly yours or whether you have become a character in someone else's story, playing a role that was written for you but never by you. The courage to put yourself first begins with a single word, a word that has been demonized, a word that has been weaponized against you, a word that you have been taught to fear, and that word is no. No, I cannot take on another responsibility right now. No, I will not compromise my peace to accommodate your expectations. No, I do not have the energy to give what you are asking. No, this does not align with who I am or who I am becoming. Every time you say no to what diminishes you, you are saying yes to yourself. You are reclaiming your energy, your time, your presence, and you are drawing a boundary, not to keep others out, but to keep yourself intact, to protect the sacred space within you where your true self resides. And boundaries, these invisible lines that so many fear to draw, are not walls. They are not declarations of war. They are acts of love, acts of self-respect, acts of clarity. And when you set a boundary, you are teaching the world how to treat you. You are establishing the terms of engagement, and you are refusing to participate in dynamics that require your self-abandonment as the price of admission. There will be resistance, this is certain, when you begin to put yourself first, when you begin to honor your needs, when you begin to live in alignment with your truth. There will be people who are uncomfortable, who are angry, who accuse you of changing, and they are right, you are changing. You are shedding the false self that was constructed to please them. You are stepping out of the role you were assigned, and this threatens the equilibrium of relationships that were built on your compliance. But understand this, any relationship that cannot survive your self-prioritization, any connection that requires your self-neglect to function, is not a relationship worth preserving. It is a transaction, and you are not here to be transactional. You are here to be whole, to be authentic, to be free, and freedom always comes with a cost. And that cost is often the loss of connections that were never truly aligned with your highest good. In the stillness, in the quiet moments when the noise of the world fades and you are alone with yourself, you will feel it. The pull, the longing, the deep ache of your soul reaching for something more, something real, something true. And this longing is not a weakness, it is not a flaw. It is the voice of your essence calling you home, calling you back to yourself, reminding you that you were not born to live a diluted life, a half-life, a life measured by how well you conform, how much you endure, how silently you suffer. You were born to live fully, fiercely, authentically, and this fullness, this aliveness, this vibrant presence that you may have only glimpsed in rare moments is your birthright. It is what you are entitled to simply by virtue of being alive, and yet you will only access it when you decide that your life, your one wild and precious life, is worthy of your devotion, your attention, your care. Putting yourself first is a spiritual practice. It is a form of reverence. It is acknowledging the divine within you, the spark of consciousness that animates your being, and treating it as sacred. And when you honor this inner divinity, when you tend to your own soul with the same dedication you have given to others, something miraculous happens. You begin to fill up, not with the fleeting satisfaction of external validation, but with a deep, steady, unshakable sense of wholeness that comes from within, and from this place of fullness, you are able to give in ways that are generous, authentic, and sustainable. Not because you must, not because you are trying to earn love or avoid guilt, but because you genuinely want to. Because your cup is overflowing and you have abundance to share. And this kind of giving from overflow rather than depletion, transforms not only your life, but the lives of everyone you touch. There is a paradox here, one that the mind struggles to comprehend, but the heart understands intuitively, and it is this. The more you prioritize yourself, the more you have to offer. The more you fill your own cup, the more you are able to pour into others, the more you honor your own boundaries, the healthier your relationships become. And this is because self-prioritization is not about isolation, it is about integration. It is about bringing all the fragmented parts of yourself back together, healing the divisions, the inner conflicts, the ways you have been at war with your own needs. And when you are integrated, when you are whole, you show up in the world as a force of presence, of clarity, of power. And people feel this. They respond to it. They are drawn to it. Not because you are performing, not because you are trying to please, but because you are real, you are authentic, you are aligned. And authenticity is magnetic in a world that is drowning in pretense. Consider the nature of alignment, this word that is spoken so often but rarely understood in its full depth. Alignment is not about perfection. It is not about having your life look a certain way or achieving a particular state. Alignment is the felt sense of resonance between your inner world and your outer world. It is the experience of your actions reflecting your values, your choices expressing your truth, your life embodying your essence. And when you are in alignment, there is a flow, a grace, an effortlessness, not because things are easy, but because you are not fighting yourself, you are not divided, you are not trying to be someone you are not. And this coherence, this integrity in the truest sense of the word, creates a kind of energetic signature that attracts opportunities, people, and experiences that are in harmony with who you truly are. And this is what is meant by the idea that when you put yourself first, everything changes. Not because you are manipulating the external world, not because you are forcing outcomes, but because you are changing the frequency at which you vibrate. You are shifting from a state of fragmentation to a state of wholeness. And the universe responds to wholeness, life responds to authenticity, reality responds to alignment. You must understand that the world you see, the circumstances you experience, the relationships you inhabit, are all reflections of your inner state, your beliefs, your self-concept, your energetic signature. And if your inner world is characterized by self-neglect, by self-doubt, by the belief that your needs are secondary, then your outer world will mirror this back to you in the form of situations that reinforce your unworthiness, people who take you for granted, opportunities that require your sacrifice, and you can spend a lifetime trying to change the external, trying to fix the mirror, but until you change what is being reflected, until you transform your relationship with yourself, the patterns will persist, the dynamics will repeat, the cycle will continue, and this is why putting yourself first is not just a strategy for personal happiness. It is a fundamental shift in consciousness. It is the recognition that you are the author of your experience, that your life is a creative act, and that the quality of your creation depends entirely on the quality of your relationship with yourself. In the depths of your being, beneath the layers of conditioning, beneath the masks you wear, beneath the roles you play, there is a self that has never been touched by the world's opinions, never been diminished by rejection, never been shaped by trauma. And this self, this essential self, is whole, is sovereign, is free, and it has been waiting patiently, persistently for you to remember it, to reclaim it, to live from it. And the moment you begin to put yourself first, you are beginning the journey back to this self. You are peeling away the false identities, the borrowed beliefs, the protective mechanisms that once served you but now imprison you. And this process, this return to essence, is not comfortable, it is not convenient. It may require you to dismantle everything you thought you knew, to release relationships that no longer serve you, to walk away from paths that were never truly yours. But on the other side of this dissolution, on the other side of this death of the false self, is a life so rich, so vibrant, so deeply satisfying, that you will wonder how you ever accepted anything less. You will wonder why you waited so long, and you will understand that every moment of discomfort, every challenge, every loss along the way was not a punishment but a pruning, not a setback but a realignment, not an ending but a becoming. The ancient mystics understood this, the poets, the sages, the ones who walked the path of inner transformation. They knew that true fulfillment is not found in the accumulation of external things, not in achievements, not in status, not in the approval of others, but in the cultivation of inner richness, in the development of a self that is so firmly rooted, so deeply anchored, so completely at peace with its own existence, that it does not need the world to validate it. And this is the secret. This is the key. This is the doorway to a fulfilled life. It is not out there. It is in here. It is not in the future. It is in this moment. It is not in becoming someone else. It is in becoming more fully yourself. And the path to this becoming begins with a single, radical, transformative decision. The decision to put yourself first, to honor your needs, to respect your boundaries, to prioritize your well-being, to live in alignment with your truth, to say yes to yourself with the same commitment, the same devotion, the same unwavering dedication that you have given to everyone and everything else. Ask yourself now, what would change if you truly believed that your life mattered? Not because of what you do, not because of who you serve, not because of what you accomplish, but simply because you exist, simply because you are here, a conscious being, a spark of the infinite, a unique expression of life itself. What would change if you stopped waiting for permission, stopped seeking approval, stopped trying to earn your own self-love, and instead simply claimed it, declared it, embodied it? What would your days look like if every choice was filtered through the question, does this honor me? Does this serve my highest good? Does this align with who I truly am? And what would you release? What would you say no to? What would you walk away from if you knew, with absolute certainty, that your worth is not negotiable, your needs are not optional, and your life is not a resource to be consumed by others but a sacred gift, to be cherished, nurtured, and fully lived? The transformation that comes from putting yourself first is not instant. It is not a sudden enlightenment. It is a gradual unfolding, a series of small choices, small acts of courage, small moments of self-honoring that accumulate over time and eventually reach a tipping point. And one day, you wake up and realize that you feel different, lighter, clearer, more present, more alive. And you notice that the relationships in your life have shifted. Some have deepened, become more authentic, more reciprocal, and others have naturally faded. And you feel no guilt about this because you understand that not everyone is meant to walk the entire journey with you. And you notice that opportunities are appearing, not because you are chasing them, but because you are ready for them. Because your energy is no longer scattered, no longer depleted, but focused, aligned, and available. And you notice that your sense of purpose has clarified, not because you have suddenly discovered your calling, but because you have removed the obstacles, the distractions, the false obligations that were obscuring it. And most of all, you notice that you feel at home in yourself. You feel a sense of peace, of rightness, of belonging that does not depend on external circumstances, that cannot be taken away by others, that is simply there, steady and unshakable, because it is rooted in the one thing that will never leave you, your own presence, your own awareness, your own unconditional acceptance of yourself. This is the secret to a fulfilled life. Not a formula, not a technique, not a set of rules to follow, but a way of being, a relationship with yourself, a commitment to your own wholeness. And it begins now, in this moment, with a breath, with a choice, with a quiet inner declaration: I matter, my needs are valid, my life is mine, and I will no longer betray myself for the comfort of others. I will no longer shrink to fit into spaces that were never meant for me. I will no longer postpone my own existence, my own joy, my own fulfillment. I will choose myself, not out of arrogance, not out of selfishness, but out of a deep, sacred, reverent recognition that this life, this body, this consciousness is a gift. And the only way to truly honor this gift is to live it fully, to tend to it carefully, to protect it fiercely, to allow it to flourish. And in doing so, in putting yourself first, you will discover that you do not lose connection with others. You deepen it. You do not lose love. You multiply it. You do not lose your capacity to give. You enhance it, because you are no longer giving from emptiness, from obligation, from fear. You are giving from fullness, from choice, from love. And this kind of giving transforms everything it touches. Let yourself feel the weight of these words. Let them settle into your body, into your bones, into the deepest recesses of your consciousness, and let them dismantle the old stories, the limiting beliefs, the self-imposed restrictions that have kept you tethered to a life that was never truly yours. And as these stories fall away, as the false self dissolves, do not be afraid of the emptiness that remains. Do not rush to fill it with new distractions, new obligations, new ways of abandoning yourself. Instead, sit with the emptiness, breathe into it, allow it to reveal itself not as a void, but as a space of pure potential. A canvas awaiting your brushstroke, a silence pregnant with possibility. And from this space, from this place of stillness and presence, begin to create, begin to choose, begin to live, not according to the dictates of fear, guilt, or obligation, but according to the whispers of your soul, the longing of your heart, the truth of your essence. You are not here to be small. You are not here to dim your light. You are not here to live in service of narratives that do not honor your worth. You are here to expand, to shine, to claim the fullness of your being. And the world needs this. The world needs people who are whole, who are aligned, who are rooted in their own power. Because when you are whole, you inspire others to seek their own wholeness. When you are authentic, you give permission for others to be authentic. When you put yourself first, you model a way of being that is so rare, so countercultural, so desperately needed, that it becomes a beacon, a lighthouse, a path for others to follow. And this is not egoic. This is not about being better than others. This is about being true to yourself. And in that truth, in that alignment, in that self-honoring, you become a force for transformation, not just in your own life, but in the collective consciousness, because every individual who chooses themselves, who steps out of the matrix of self-neglect and into the truth of self-love, shifts the energy of the whole, raises the vibration, expands the possibility for what it means to be human. So take another breath. Let it be deep. Let it be slow. Let it carry with it the recognition that you have always had the power to change everything. You have always had the capacity to live a fulfilled life. And the only thing standing between you and that fulfillment is the belief that you are not worthy of it. The belief that others must come first. The belief that your needs are less important. And these beliefs are lies. They are illusions. They are the chains that have kept you bound. And today, in this moment, you have the choice to break them, to step into the truth of your sovereignty, to reclaim your life, to put yourself first, not as an act of rebellion, but as an act of homecoming, as a return to the self you were always meant to be, the self that knows its worth, the self that honors its needs, the self that lives in alignment with its essence. And from this place, from this foundation of self-love, self-respect, and self-prioritization, you will build a life that is not just fulfilled but overflowing, not just satisfying but sacred, not just yours, but a gift to the world, and you will understand finally that the secret was never hidden. It was always here, waiting in the quiet space between breaths, in the stillness of your own heart, in the simple, profound, transformative truth that your life belongs to you. And when you choose yourself, everything changes.